When I was in college, I was taking pottery classes, and one day I noticed one of the grad students had put a red iron oxide underglaze slip on his plates, and he had splashed it. And it looked interesting. Never seen anything like that before, really. So I was asking him about it, and he said uh, it was a way of decorating pottery from Japanese Zen Buddhism. And, we talked a little bit about that. And, the Zen Buddhism, the artist would talk about controlled accident and it's like out there on the edge, not attempting to control the result the same way, what I was used to seeing. So I decided I was going to try it on some of my pottery, but I guess I had the good sense to get some tempera paint and newsprint paper to practice a little bit before I started on my pottery. And so after a little bit, I started doing it on my pottery and realized I was a lot better than the grad student, and started learning more about it, the history of this way of doing art, and found out about the rice paper and ink, sumi ink on rice paper, and within a year I had my own ink stone and an ink stick of sumi ink, and was doing paintings on rice paper, and I've continued that ever since. But I also was into trying to translate what I was getting from the ink on rice paper to acrylic paint on the canvas, and so that started, and of course with oil painting and so forth, but watercolors. But with the acrylic, what I really liked was being able to put down some colors and then put some clear acrylic polymer, a coat of that in between each session, and this would create this build up so that there would be a perception of depth in when one would look at the painting. So the first layer of paint would start to look like it was back in space, and so I really liked these glazes and getting the washes and blends and so forth with the acrylic, and this spatial imagery that would come from that. I was always interested, ever since I was a kid, in astronomy and seeing nebulae and so forth, and as NASA was going to the moon, or my junior year of high school and so forth, it was like really into science fiction and outer space, and I felt like some of the work I was doing was kind of similar to that, that interest of outer space, but and also that energy from doing the ink painting on rice paper, and how the spatial energy and so forth was coming out of that. But over time, I as I developed this process of painting with acrylic, I also started to notice that sometimes when a person would look at it, when I would look at it, um, I would start to get this audio stereogram effect of it becoming three-dimensional. You know, it was like it would sort of pop out, like this audio stereograms done with a computer, where you would look at this field of colors, and if you gazed at it a certain way, you would see words or symbols or whatever. But this effect of looking at the painting, kind of gazing, in sort of out of focus, or however one gazes at it, and it would pop up like you're floating overhead in a forest or something, and so really became interested in being able to make this show up in my artwork. And so with Legal Bliss, this is like the first time I attempted a canvas of this size. It's like 8 feet tall by 12 feet wide, and was really interested in whether I could get these effects to occur on a large canvas, like with the smaller ones, 2 by 2.5 feet and larger. Prior to that, the largest painting I'd done was 6 foot by 8 feet, so this was like twice as big, and I found that it translates over to that size as well, and so really happy with how this one turned out, Legal Bliss.